in science. So here we saw that we have these 4 defects. So we have reality, which is huge thing, and because our senses are limited, we only get this much. On that we get illusion, so we only get this much. On top of that, we make mistakes, so we only get this much, right? And on top of that, there is cheating propensity, so all we get is this much. And this is not the end to it. The next praman is called as Anuman praman. So in scientific methodology, after perception or after observation, there is hypothesization, which means guesswork. Theory is based on the observation, and that means on this we are going to have a guess. Kya tha? What was it? That means it's going to go even more narrow. And when we say this, what I have is reality, अच्छा है ना? And then we are wondering, ये मेरे life को satisfy क्यों नहीं कर रहा है? Why am I not getting satisfied and having a fulfilling experience of life? अरे what you are having is this, but the reality is this. No, the reality is this big, and what you are having is this. How can it satisfy? So Anuman is theories based on guesswork. Just like when Rutherford bombarded the electron beam or the ion beam through the metal foil, then he saw most of the electrons, they got diverted by a huge amount. They got scattered by a huge angle. So he concluded that means that there is a positively charged, very dense substance in the atom. He said, okay, let's call it as nucleus. And then he saw that most of the electrons passed as it is. And he said, because most of them pass as it is, that means there is a lot of empty space. And then he said that and then he saw that some of them in the observation, some of them got drifted a little bit in the other direction. So he understood that there is a negatively charged particle which is roaming around the nucleus. Let's call it as an electron. Thus he came up with neutron, proton, an electron. That was the kind of model he created. So this is called as Anuman Praman. Theories based on observation. Yeah. Theories based on observation. Here is an account of The Origin of Species, a book written by Charles Darwin, in which Charles Darwin was studying or meditating on the morphologies of various species, and then he was drawing some connective links, and he was saying, okay, maybe this is the way it could have happened, perhaps this is the way it could have happened. This is an example of speculation. Anuman. Speculation. So Anuman is guesswork, and it may hit, it may not hit. There is probability whether it is true or not, because it's guesswork. It's just like, suppose you are passing by the road and you are seeing that from one of the houses just next to the road, you are getting very loud sound, very high decibel, people are shouting, yelling at each other. Now what could it be? If the windows are closed and the door is closed, we can only guess what it would be. Somebody may say, okay, maybe the people inside the house, they are fighting. Therefore, they are yelling at each other, they are fighting. But you may open the door, knock at it, and you may understand that maybe they are watching a movie. They are not fighting, they are sitting, eating popcorn, watching a movie. But then there could be another possibility that maybe they are not watching a movie, maybe they are not fighting, maybe they are practicing a dramatics. For a society cultural event which is coming up. So Anuman is faulty as well. An example of Anuman. Yeah, so this is a section from The Origin of Species, wherein it says that, okay, how does so there was in North America, there was this black bear, and actually this black bear evolved as a whale because he was not finding much food on the land, so he started going in the water. He liked it, he got food, he started staying more time in water. His children started staying more time in water, more time. He became a whale. I mean, so it happened over millions of years, the natural selection, survival of the fittest, and so many other points. So I mean, this is an example of Hanuman. Theory is based on observation. Yeah. Similarly, in tracing out humans, so in tracing out, actually, so another figment of Hanuman was that okay, maybe man came from monkeys. That was Darwin's. That okay, previously there was a monkey-like man. So what you see on the right side, what you see on the right side, this side, right side. So what you see on the right side is the evolution, that there was the Neanderthal man, then he became Homo erectus, then he became Homo habilis, then he became Homo sapien, which happened 1 lakh years before, and then he became the most evolved man, which is called as Homo sapien. That happened 40,000 years before. But then actually, when the fossil records came, the record of the rocks, they showed that the fossils showed that the Homo sapien fossils are dating back to millions of years. What to say of only 40,000 years? So the human beings and apes simultaneously existed millions of years before. That's what the fossil records say. So why? Because the previous theory, I mean the understanding of the modeling of this man coming from apes was done following the dictates of Anuman, or guesswork. But guess is guess. Just like if somebody is not studied in an exam and it's an objective IIT-JEE exam and he thinks that maybe today can be my day. If one just guesses, most likely from anyone who has given exams which are objective, just guesswork, you will not get a single extra mark. Most likely it happens like that. So, or if there is negative marking, you may land up losing what you know also. Therefore, any person, any coach, any tutor, for any competitive examination will always give a tip that never attempt what you don't know. Because it's not that because what you know for sure that much you are getting, and if you just give a fluke guess, you may get less than what you all know even. So therefore, Hanuman. This is the problem with Hanuman. So a life based on Pratyaksha Hanuman is going to be problematic. Pratyaksha Hanuman, if we simply base our lives on Pratyaksha Hanuman, life is going to be problematic. And that's why we see that in the world we do face problems of this Pratyaksha Hanuman. Just like, say for example, the Bisleri bottle. A Bisleri bottle may be a convenient substitute for glass bottle. But because of the bottle, when the water is kept in this bottle for some time, the water becomes toxic. In 6 months, the water stored in the Bisleri becomes poisonous. So, because research based on Pratyaksha and Hanuman is going to be faulty. So, we have to face it. Just like when Coca-Cola was first discovered in life, then they were advertising that this is Coca-Cola, it has a unique element. This unique element is called as caffeine, and it is something which can give you an instant kick and energy, and you can rock over the world. This is how it was advertised. Later they found out that caffeine is a very dangerous thing, so they said, "No, thoda isko, put down the advertisements. Not take off caffeine. It's not something very healthy." So this is the problem. Research based on Pratyaksha and Hanuman is always going to be faulty. It's like is never going to be complete, and therefore the experience of interfacing it is never going to be complete. Now, just like we can see mobiles are very powerful. I mean, mobiles are our baseline of life in that sense to say. But these mobiles, so I remember, and till the time we were studying high school, or there were no mobiles actually. I remember in my graduation also there was no mobile. Only when I passed out, the mobile fashion became very prominent. This was after 2005 I passed out. That was a time where the fashion was picking up. But in my IIT days also, we never had any mobile. So when this mobile thing was picking up, people were madly purchasing it. Yes, mobile, like that. But then very soon the research came actually that mobile vibrations are very hazardous. So if you hear for a very long time, it can damage the head. If you put it in the pocket, it can damage the heart. If you put it in the pant pocket, it can cause hernia type of thing. The radiations can damage that side. Now the question is, where to put it? Where to put it? This is another example. It's about the bubonic plague. The first time bubonic plague hit the world as an epidemic, it was a massive toll of life. It started in UK, and the researchers, their ingenious research, they were doing overtime to do research to figure out what is the cause of this plague. It was ravaging the whole UK and that way Europe, that way. That's how the epidemic was going. It was a massive bloody epidemic, a plague where people were losing their lives. And the researchers came up with the result. Their ingenious research result was that plague is caused by cats. And therefore the UK government gave standing instruction that all cats in the entire country have to be killed. And this was a marvelous research which they did just in time, came up with the right results. Came up with the cause to like that, and even the scientists are feeling a sense of accomplishment. The doctors, the scientists, researchers, and they were breathing an air of relief while the cats were being killed, and then the people were also getting some hopes that things will now the epidemic is done. Epidemic will no longer spread. But within a few days, what happened was completely startling to everyone, because within a few days, the infection increased 10 times. Bubonic plague became uncontrolled, massively exploding. And then the researchers came back again. What happened? Because they got some results. They published those results. Now what's happening? So the scientists came back, started retracing their steps, what went wrong, where it went wrong, and all that. And then they came up with the conclusion: sorry, the plague is not caused by cats. It is caused by rats. Slight miss. It's caused by rats. But now the UK government had a problem because it was too late. Because now how do you kill rats? There are no cats to kill the rats. So mistakes lead to problems. We can see these kind of problems do exist. One time the doctors in Southeast Asia, they came up with a new material for teeth filling. It was claimed to be very powerful and all that. So many surgeries were done and all that, teeth filling, like that. But then later they found out that this material had some traces of mercury. Now mercury is poisonous. So immediately the the advertisement was given: anybody with surgery between this time to this time, please come back. We will take off the surgery because that material is poisonous. And now you're scraping off or filing off the material from the teeth. Then mercury is volatile. It vaporizes very soon, and if the vapor goes inside the body, it's going to be poisonous. So then they were putting a balloon on the on the cavity so that no vapors go inside actually. So the point is that there are mistakes. There are problems with mistakes based on Pratyaksha and Anuman. There are problems. In fact, we can see that we invent a solution to a particular problem and it leads to another kind of problem. a solution to one problem leads to the invention of another kind of problem. Just like antibiotics, you can solve one disease, but then it leads you to a cascade of so many further diseases. Just like say for example, they made a great idea, okay, let's make flyovers. So because there is traffic problem, the traffic has to be controlled, so let's make flyovers. They made flyovers so that you can fly, and experience the freedom. You can fly and you can experience the freedom like that. But soon, the flyovers, they have become crawlovers. Because you see, what will happen is that there is jam on the road, then there is flyover. But now if there is jam on the flyover, then you are stuck somewhere in the air, in suspension, in fluidic suspension, is it not? That's what happens. So previously I remember when there would be traffic jam on the road, then you can park your vehicle on the roadside and go to a shop, and do shopping, sit in the restaurant, have a nice time, but now if you are there stuck on a flyover, what are you going to do? Neither you can go back nor you can come out. You are in collider suspension. So the flyovers became crawlovers. That means modern inventions, they lead to different problems. They lead to newer and newer problems. The solution to one problem gives rise to a series of problems. Biogenetic engineering, say for example, you can make anything. So you can see biogenetically nowadays you can get fruits in all the seasons, like that. You can get apples which have such a red pigment, that it is irresistible. The appeal is irresistible. But if you taste it, there is no juice. It's as if you are munching on thermocol. No juice. That's the kind of world we have come up to. Now this is interesting. Rather, we have seen that many times what has happened is the solution for one problem gives rise to a much bigger problem than the original problem. So the solution proves out to be worse than the problem. Just like say for example, entertainment. Now entertainment, okay, life becomes monotonous. You need something to do in life. You need to chill out somewhere, and that's a problem. But then the solutions came out, very ingenious solutions which came out. Okay, have a television. So television is a solution. But then we have seen, but then statistics and reports say that because of an excessive addiction to say television and say movies. Reports say that okay, a child by the time he comes to mid-level school, he has seen 8,000 murder scenes, 1 lakh violent scenes, and therefore it gets installed in his psychology. His psyche gets installed accordingly. Therefore, children the breed of children who are coming from this kind of exposure, that's much more violent, much more insensitive, much more exploitative, much more animalistic, and therefore there's a problem in parenting. You cannot handle and control. Why? Because what was fed is what is coming out. So it's a very big problem. It's a huge problem. This kind of addiction. Similarly, the kind of addiction which the gaming creates. So people's careers are getting spoiled and they are learning some insensitive habits, is it not? In fact, video games, the first time in life video games were invented, they were invented by the US Army to make their soldiers play it and in that way train them to become heartless. Because in a game you are killing, you are killing in the game and you don't feel it. And by that you are killing your feelings, you are tuning your feelings to get killed, and therefore these people, when they kill in real life, they don't feel anything. It's all about shooting, it's all about scores. That's all the kind of addiction which is created. And now with this being rolled out to the general mass of society, the fabric of the society is getting corrupted. It is making people, not only making people blind, but it is instilling this kind of it is driving out or drying out the inner fine divine qualities of the heart. The problem leading to a much bigger problem. Previously I remember people would go out shopping. Then I have seen my relatives, acquaintances, they would go out shopping. Now if they want to shop anything, they would spend 1 month in evaluating, in bargaining prices, and then they would be paying money. Every 100 rupee note you take out, it pains. Right, it pains. So people would be controlling themselves. Okay, 1 note is going out. It is like your heart is pouring out like that. Then the ingenious thing which came up, the unique solution which came up, the easy solution to make life easy and comfortable is credit cards. You swipe it, take it, swipe it, like that. You may not have ready money, like that. You just swipe it off, like that, and take anything what you want. Right? But then the point is that the person may take his girlfriend, for shopping, and then or his person may take his wife for shopping, like that, and he may be starting like a much man. He said, okay, take my credit card and just swipe it off, like that, and he swipes it off. Then the person goes back to his office Monday, and 1.5 lakh bill. It will take 1.5 months to get that money, solve it or to pay for it. So that's the kind. Previously 100 rupee was paining. A person will say, बहुत हो गया, 2-4 note निकाल दिए, बस. Isn't that? Now control yourself, control your senses, control your mind, everything and all that. So that's problems. The solution, creating a much bigger problem. So in this way we can understand that just pratyaksha and anuman, simply what feels to the external senses, and simply hypothesizing and speculating is not going to lead us to a perfect experience. There is incompleteness which is inherent in them.